Hey guys, welcome to another session of RBTL. We're going to be talking about Violet's banner and then All-Rounder Wanda as a specialty change Wanda. This is a continuation from today's patch notes, of course. First things first, I want to give my thoughts on the Violet banner. If people are new or they don't have Violet, whether or not they should be pulling for Violet, even though that we could potentially have a limited around the corner, which most likely would be DN. My thinking though right now is that yes, in terms of if you are free to play, no matter what the banner is, unless it's like Charles or someone very game changing, I would say definitely do your research. You can only take my advice with a grain of salt because everybody has different styles of playing. So for example, my friend Code, if you guys watch my YouTube videos or even come to my streams, you guys know Code pretty well. Like he's one of the top players. He wants me to pull a triple S Violet for him. That's how much he loves him. If you have seen Code's account review, definitely check it out because his Violet is probably the best Violet I've seen so far. But he says someone else is better, and I won't name who. But anyways, but Violet itself, from an objective point of view, he was always really good. Even when he was released, he was very OP. A lot of people didn't know how to deal with Violet, especially paired with Assassin Cartuja. Now I will say though, in terms of like, let's say you put them on a GVG defense, A-Cart and Violet is very easy to counter. So don't think that just because you pull Violet, you're gonna be winning all your GVG defenses. Basically any top player seeing Violet, it's either you outspeed them with Oath Key. So Oath Key is a 3-star artifact that can totally ignore Moonlight Dreamblade. We'll talk about that in a bit. And just nuke him out like right away, or you just tank him with Crow and then S3 him with Crow. There's a lot of ways to deal with Violet. So by any means, he's not super OP. Violet is really good, especially when the Dizzy meta was very popular. Violet got a developer's buff as well, and you know what? I actually think that he could potentially get an exclusive equipment very soon. Just based on how Smilegate is actually upgrading. Like they gave Charles an EE, they gave a Syrmia exclusive equipment, K-Ron now. It's just like all these like damage dealers are getting exclusive equipment. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see Violets in like the next month or two. So it might be a good time to get him. In terms of like Violet's usage, I still think that his best in-slot artifact is still Moonlight Dreamblade, which is a 4-star artifact. If you get it to plus 30, it's 20% more evasion chance, on top of a 50% evasion chance when you do his when you use his S2. So every time his S2 is not on cooldown, or rather, when it is on cooldown, he gets an additional 50% evasion chance, which is really good. Plus, the Moonlight Dreamblade will give him 70%. Basically, as long as his passive is up, no ice units will be able to land any hits on him. Basically, RNG is completely against him, since ice units are will have a 50% missing disadvantage. So once Violet actually gets his we call it the apple, so his S2 skill, he will completely be able to retaliate back. So Violet is really simple, really very simple. Once you use the S2, it does a heal. It's a 15% max HP heal of his max HP, and also cleanses 2 debuffs. Now that's the developer's buff side of things, but cleansing 2 debuffs is really good. Like if someone has an attack down or a blind chance on you, you can cleanse that straight away, so it's really good. And then of course, like I said, the evasion chance is up. When you do use his S2 though, it also gains his focus, and his focus is very important for his S3. So his focus, there's 5 bars of focus. Every time you use the S2, you get I think 2 or 3 focus. I'm really bad at Violet. Right now the game's under maintenance, so I can't actually look it up. I think it's 2 or 3, but don't worry, it's not even that important. I think it's 2, actually it's 2. 2 focus, and then there's 5 max. Every single focus he gains another 15% increased damage for his S3. His S3 is a 1.5 times mod, pretty decent for nuking damage, especially on Violet. And he is a Scorpio, which means he has pretty high base stats as well, about 1200 attack and 6000 HP. 6000 HP. It's very high. That's like Sez, that's like Baiken. So most people build Violet with high HP due to the fact that if you're evading, you can take less damage, and of course, you know, the more HP you have, you know, the less damage you'll take from evade, and you know, obviously keeps you from dying. Of course, the S2, the self heal, will help because it's scaled on max health. So ideally, you run your Violets about 15,000 HP. That's like the nice to have. Your attack should be about 3,700, 3,800 to 4,000. Somewhere around that range. 250 crit damage is like always nice to have, and at least 85 crit chance. Violet is, I would say, built more like a bruiser, so keep that in mind. Of course, the higher the crit chance, the better, but most likely you're bringing in Violets to fights where ice heroes, or you're putting pressure on ice heroes. So if you have 85% with elemental advantage, you have 100% chance to crit, which is perfect. Like I said, the best in slot artifact would be Moonlight Dreamblade, and Moonlight Dreamblade 4-star artifact increase the evasion chance by 20% if it's plus 30, but also grants an attack buff every time it actually procs. On Violet specifically, if you use his S1, it gains 1 focus, so every time he actually counters, he's granted counter attacks every time he evades successfully after you use his apple, so his S2. If you get 1 focus per counter, and you can use his S3 at max damage potential, as much as you want, pretty much. The other thing about his S3 is that as long as you use it with max focus, so 5 out of 5 focus, it resets the cooldown after you use it, so you can use it technically infinitely. So in terms of like the overall kit for Violet, he's a very robust thief. I think he's probably one of the most reliable thieves right now on a defense team, because usually thieves are very, very squishy. Unless you're using like Assassin Collie to outspeed your enemies, Violet is a very stable hero, and Violet is also a very good cleave deterrent as well, because if people want to cleave your team, they'll most likely have to roll the RNG of possibly missing your Violet, or they have to put on Oath Key, which can lower the cleaver's damage. So like they can't use Tonfa, they can't use Portrait, they can't use, like, you know, depends on their setup, they can't use Alia's Knife or something like that. So it's very nice to have Violet on a defense team. Of course, paired with proper defense heroes, it should cause some players to scratch their heads. But like I said, Violet is not invincible. There are ways to counter him, but that's my thoughts on Violet. I still use him. Mine is on a lifesteal set. Like I said, I mentioned Code. Code's is on a defense set and speed set, but Code changes his gears all the time. A lot of people have him on a speed and crit set, which is really nice to have as well. But I told you guys all the stats that's possibly needed. But as a thief, his defense is quite low. If you could get his defense high, around the thousands, he will survive quite a bit, because like I said, if he evades, it reduces all damage. So if you have more defense while he evades, that damage will be reduced even further, because they're not getting crit damage on you, of course. So anyways, that's my thoughts on Violet. In terms of Violet Talisman, if you have Violet and you want to pull for the artifact, I wouldn't bother. Violet Talisman is cool. It's got an upgrade as well. Three full stacks, and it'll get you 30% evasion and 30% more attack, which can be scaled on top of an attack buff or greater attack buff. So that's nice to have, but you do need your actual turn to do it. So Violet Talisman doesn't actually proc or upgrade itself through a dual attack. It only happens on your turn. So you have to actually literally have 3 turns before Violet Talisman actually becomes, I would say, more useful. In the past, we have a theory crafted an Assassin Collie. Really fast Assassin Collie on Violet Talisman would be really good, since Assassin Collie, you know, can get the turns quick, and having evasion on Assassin Collie is never a bad thing. Assassin Collie is very squishy if countered, or you know, if cleaved. But if she can evade, she might survive just a bit longer. And the fact that Violet Talisman can stack 3 times 30%, and Assassin Collie, if she's not debuffed, will give herself an attack buff every time she goes. She could do quite a bit of damage. So I mean, it's something to consider, but I think most Assassin Collies ran on defense at least are on RNL or Dust Devil. Anyways, so that's pretty cool. Let's talk about specialty change Wanda. So All-Rounder Wanda. I always think the name is kind of funny. Anyways, in my part 1 of the RBTL video earlier when I was talking about the exclusive equipment and stuff, I was saying that she's very pretty. Now I already saw the YouTube comments, and I have to say, man, you guys are pros, man. You guys are freaking pros. They're like, oh, never mind. I don't want to even say it. Read the YouTube comments if you guys want to know what people are saying about that. But she's pretty hot. I do like her look. I even think that like to me she does it more for me than like specialty chain Carrot. Like Carrot is too kawaii. I don't know. I like the what I call the seductive eyes. Hold on, wait. Let me do a slight art lesson here. Hold on one sec. I can show what you mean. So like the eyes are like hold on. Let me show you. Do a red pen here. The eyes like this, like when it's like half closed. This is like the seductive eyes. My bad tracing. Kawaii eyes are like this. Delete. And I don't know, man. The kawaii eyes don't really do much for me here. But anyways, this could be its own scientific video. So maybe I don't know. Can you guys even see that? Actually, I don't know. I don't know if you guys can see that. On my screen, it looks really clear. But it just looks like random. Looks like she's growing a giant pimple. Yeah. All right. So my assessment of all-rounder Wanda is that I think in PvE she might be useful, though the stun for boss fights and stuff won't be that useful. Unhealable might come in handy. You can see that the specialty changed. The S3 gets a new name change. It's called one shot one kill now. With the Molagora, you get up to a 100% stun for 2 turns after the awakening. The 50% unhealable remains 50% until you skill tree her. So the skill tree will unlock a 100% unhealable for 2 turns, which is actually pretty good, to be honest. 100%. And the thing is about Wanda is that her damage is actually really high. Her S3 is a 1.8 times mod. So I really do think that Wanda is gonna be kind of you're gonna kind of split between like what you want it to be, either a nuker, because I think she can be, and I'll explain why I think so, or high effectiveness, but you can't have both. Most likely, I don't know what I want to run her as, to be honest. I think right now she is not really usable in PvP in terms of prior to the specialty change, but I think after specialty change, I almost think that she has like an assassin callie role when you put her on an offense team, but not a defense team. I think the defense team, the RNG and her, I don't think it's that gonna be that good. Again, she's gonna suffer the same fate as assassin callie in an RNG fight. In a defense fight. Is that people will run F-Maya and counter her to death, and I don't think she would do more damage than Assassin Callie over time. But regardless, let's go down to the skill tree and let's talk about it. Yeah, you see like the original art of Wanda, I'm like, okay, I like the eyes, but like the rest of you not doing it for me. And this one is just like, okay, cool, you know, long hair, sweet. Skill tree, yes, let's go. Oh wait, first things first though, I do want to talk about Wanda in terms of like her actual stats, because like, you know, some people may be a bit nervous to run her, but I do think that she has a very good survivability now, especially that she can stealth herself. So for 3-star, she's a Gemini. So Gemini, if people are familiar with the SSB meta right now, Geminis can get decent HP and decent damage. Alright, so, but then she is a 3-star, so she is not, she's missing about the 6% base stats. So everything, of course, is going to be a bit lower. Attack is at 1005, HP is at 4693, it's almost 4700. You count as that. 532 defense is very low, and the speed is at 109. So not your fastest ranger, but also not your slowest, right? The thing about her is that she gets a 15% HP increase. What was funny is like prior to this video and even this live stream, we were like goofing off yesterday on stream. We were just like, what do you think specially changed Wanda is gonna be? You know, like what kind of skills is she gonna get? And then one of the first things that I did say, and it wasn't the goofy part, I was serious about this. I was like, okay, probably gonna be some increase in base stats. I said health and I said effectiveness. So there you go. you have what was that, 13? Yeah, 13% more effectiveness on top of an 18% base. So she has an 18% effectiveness through her actual awakenings. So that's actually a really good start. An additional 13 right there. So you know, if you're gonna use her as a damage dealer, she already has like the kind of like the base effectiveness to kind of carry through some, I would say, menial sort of debuffs. But if you're gonna be a serious debuffer on her, you're gonna have to look for maybe a hit set somewhere in there. Maybe an effectiveness ring, but to be honest, I think her kit lends herself, again, like I said, more to PvP offense teams. I think she's gonna be great. She's gonna be a stealthy hero like Assassin Kali, like Spectre Tenebria. So if the enemy is foolish enough to run a only single target damage on a defense team, especially like in GVG, in arena it's really hard because most often than not, most teams have at least 1 to 2 cleavers, and the most I've seen is 4 cleavers if you really think about it. Like ML Cecilia Bruiser, Lilius Bruiser, ML Ken, and then you got a SSB or something, or Arbiter Vildred. So in those fights, no, you wouldn't bring her. Too squishy and not enough damage focus. But in GVG, some people do run very linear types of teams. So like, for example, like Baiken to Luna, or some sort of combo like that. So in those kind of cases, Wanda I think would be very, very good, very nice to have, because if you could build her really fast, she can stealth herself, and then she's pretty much in stealth pretty much the entire time, which is great. I'm taking a look at this. So yeah, so increases combat readiness 15% when using weak point. So weak point is the S1. She can already do, I think, up to, if I'm not mistaken, up to a 15% CR pushback already with Mola. If they're target debuff though. So one of her passives is the target debuff. It is applied, I think, at random, only one target though. If it's versus one target, of course it's gonna apply on her. But this is gonna be kind of good. So she's gonna be a CR pushback hero as well. Has a 100% chance to be granted stealth for 2 turns when using one shot, one kill. So one shot, one kill. Yeah, like I said, the up to a 4 turn. I think there's up to 3 turn actually with the Mola. 3 turn cooldown for 2 turns. You get the buff, the stealth, which is fantastic. I think that if you're running into, like I said, that kind of team like a Baiken and a Luna, you might be able to like force the bait on, let's say, F Maya, and keep like Wanda stealth and just kind of pick them off one by one. But that's actually a really bad example. I don't think that's a really good one here. But also increases hit chance of weak point by 40%, increases hit chance of one shot, one kill by 70%. So the hit chance, I think, is that the effectiveness hit chance? It's not critical hit chance. So I think it's the effectiveness. So maybe you don't even need to run her on really high effectiveness. I think that's really pretty good. I think the last time we got a hit chance hero, I think, was specialty change Ricorous. Like the artifact increases hit chance. Oh, it's the chance to not miss. Oh, it's the ignore miss. Oh wow. Oh my goodness. I think she's pretty loaded. That's actually really good. Then I think people are already saying this, right? She's like counter to Violet. Isn't that kind of like, yeah, isn't that kind of weird? There's a counter. It's like, here, let's throw in the Violet banner, and then yeah, let's give you a hero. The thing is that the target debuff, if it lands on Violet, already does reduce, it increases damage by 15%. That's the target debuff, and it reduces or increases the hit chance by 15%. So you actually have a 15% less chance to miss, which is already crazy. So I mean, Violet ain't going nowhere, man. He ain't going nowhere on this one. That's pretty crazy. If you do Mercy specifically, oh, that's true. Actually, yeah, that's Mercy totally. What the heck? I personally am. I'm going to build her. I think so, because I mean, one, I think she's gonna be great for still one-shot Banshee, and I recently got some Iron Fan, so maybe I'm gonna look into Watcher Shuri and Wanda type of Banshee hunt. But if that's the case, yeah, anyways, I have to see. If you could build her with high damage, like I said, she will do really good damage. She can already ignore the effect resistance on the S3, but it's 20 soul burn though. I don't know if it's 100% worth it, unless you need to, like for a really clutch moment, you need to stun that target without mistake. So like for example, let's say like Ruel just got her, like, I don't know, just got her S3 back, and if she revives this one hero, it's gonna kill the rest of your team. Having the soul burn there to stun her at the right time can be useful. It can make or break. So I think it's very useful. Every effect, ignore effect resistance so far is 20 souls. Has a 15% chance to be granted increased speed for 2 turns at the end of the turn. I love this aspect, and the fact is that if you're bringing in Wanda, most of your heroes may or may not be like slower than her. If they are slower than her, she's gonna lap them anyway. So why not actually increase this even further? That's just gonna give like way more flexibility for the rest of your team and for you to figure things out, because if you got the speed buff up, man, wow, okay, that she's gonna move down the line really quick, especially if she has really high speed. But only 15% chance, so I kind of like this. I was thinking about this before, like, does this 15% chance granting you speed actually make you worse? Like, does it screw you up in any way? And I really can't think so. I really can't think of it. It's almost like Assassin Collie getting the speed buff. You almost want it on her all the time, but only 15% chance, just to keep that in mind. It's not gonna proc a lot unless you get really lucky. 25% chance to decrease the cooldown of one-shot, one kill by 1 turn when using weak point against a targeted enemy. So like I said, I mean, this could potentially give you an infinite stealth cycle based on cooldown in the Molagora, if that's 3 turns, and then reduce 1 more turn if they're targeted. And most likely they should be, at least. So unless they all run immunity or something like that. But anyways, I do think that she has a place in PvP, but like I said, don't run her into a cleave or anti-cleave comp, or cleave comp rather. Don't run her into a cleave comp. It's just, I don't think it's gonna be worth it. The other thing, what's interesting is that I think GVG, especially GVG defense, is gonna start seeing some interesting things. This morning I was testing out Alina on GVG defense. I was testing her all day in arena offense, and I just gotta say, like, unless people running Bazaar on the defense team, Alina is just such a cleave deterrent. Like, she stops cleaves like it's nothing. It's pretty crazy. The only thing is that if people are using Bazaar, there's other ways to deal with that as well, right? And so you got Lilius, you got like Chaerons or whatnot. So it's gonna be an interesting time, I think, with all these heroes and counter heroes going around. I was getting kind of excited about the PvP at this point. And then the last one is increases chance of inflicting unhealable by 50% when using one shot, one kill. So that makes it 100%. So every time you're going into it, especially, I keep saying Mola. Apologies, I meant skill enhance. I didn't think of it as Mola. I say Mola just because it's like a reflex thing, but what I meant is skill enhance. So technically it comes free since she's a 3-star anyway. So you're gonna get 100% stun for 2 turns, 100% chance to get unhealable for 2 turns. Again, I do think that I probably will again run her on a speed set, speed boot. Whether I want to go for high damage or not, I'm not 100% sure yet. I think that she has, again, good damage potential. There's an increased damage on the S1. If they have a target debuff anyway, not just the CR pushback, up to a 35% increased damage. It's at a 0.9 times mod right now, so in terms of a single target nuking damage, she has all the potential in the world to be a decent nuker. Definitely don't underestimate her, especially with the target debuff giving you the additional 15% damage. So anyways, that's my thoughts on specialty change Wanda. I will at least do her tree. If I have the gear, I will build her. If I can, run it into some GVG defense comps, definitely showcase her there. I just don't think I can ever showcase an arena, unless she's like, I don't think so. I actually can't think of any scenario that she would work in arena currently, but even with Alina's protection or whatnot. So So anyways, that's it for this one. So I'm going to end the video here. If you guys have Discord, check out the Discord server. Follow me on Twitter and subscribe to YouTube if you haven't. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys on the next Reading Between the Lines.